في ختام هذه الحلقة لقاء خاص من دبي، هذه المدينة التي تدعم المشاريع الخلاقة والمتجددة. حديث عن الرفاهية ومستقبل قطاع الأزياء والماركات الفاخرة في الواقع الحالي المفروض الذي يحتم على الجميع إعادة التفكير بمسؤولية. نتابع هذا اللقاء مع مؤسس The Luxury Closet.
Thank you so much for seeing us and having us in the showroom of The Luxury Closet. The Luxury Closet for me is this amazing startup coming from the region that defined this gap in the market that needed to be filled and came up with an amazing company. So I want to know from you, how did this all begin? Where did you get the idea? And how did you determine that specific gap that we are talking about?
So first of all, thank you very much. It's a great place to tell our story. So thank you for giving us the chance. So let me go back to 2012, which is when the company was founded, and right before I was working for Louis Vuitton. I worked in store and got to meet all the fantastic clients and the luxury connoisseurs in the region. In particular, there were a few examples that, how should I say, built the premise for the luxury closet. In one particular case, it was a client who brought in Louis Vuitton pochette to repair.
Okay.
When I checked how old it was 20 years old, and all that had happened to it in 20 years was the zip had become stuck. And then I wondered to myself, 20 years, and she's still using it. She's probably going to hand it down, and it's going to continue being, being in circulation for really maybe another decades or 2 decades. So these products are really built to last. They're built to be enjoyed through generations. So that was first. Then on the opposite hand, I saw and met clients who really had their eye on a particular creation, and they had to wait till they could afford it exactly, till they could afford it. So there's that end, and on the opposite hand there were of course sellers who had the most amazing collection, and then they were like, look, I bought this piece a few years ago, I don't use it anymore, because it's not in fashion perhaps, or I've worn it a few times, but what I want to do is refresh my wardrobe and wear what's next, right? So that was really like, how should I say, like products built to last. Sellers have a lot of product, there's buyers who want it. So, naturally you have to come up with a solution.
As I was walking in, I was trying to, this is the first time that I come to the showroom, so I was trying to figure if there are any specialists, how big the company is, and I saw the room inside where people were checking the authenticity of specific watches and jewelry brands. Can you tell us a little bit more about the company? How big is it? How big are you aiming for it to be? Who are the people that you're working with as partners? Are you working with brands to make sure that all these items are authentic? How are you servicing them?
So let's discuss the first question, which is how big are we in terms of number of people? So we're over 100 people in the company now, and thus we've taken the step to go from like this, small startup, which actually started in my apartment. That my wife's closet used to be the original luxury closet, right?
No way!
Yeah,
oh
that was the conception.
Is
really.
She continuously spacing up her closet?
She was instrumental in getting us till here, right? So that was humble beginnings, and of course now we have teams spread across 4 countries: India, UAE, Kuwait, and Saudi. Over 100 people. We have 16 people who focus on authentication, is what you mentioned. So every item that comes in gets inspected and closely looked at by one of these authenticators, amongst who are watch specialists. There's somebody who's a second generation watchmaker. There are 2 gemologists, just to give you an indication. So these people really know the product, and they inspect every single product before it goes online.
Growth-wise, I know maybe it's not the right time to talk about it. I mean, the world was hit with a pandemic, and we were not expecting, obviously, this state of standing still and survival mode. What were your immediate priorities, and do you think that this phase will kind of impact how consumers want luxury or purchase
Absolutely.
luxury?
So you step back, you know, the model is about, first of all, it's a localized supply chain. That means the items come from the same city, get inspected, get cleaned, and then go back into the same city. So it's a localized supply chain versus, you know, the goods being manufactured in, you know, a faraway place and then being shipped across continents, right? Which is a supply chain that got disrupted. So first we said, look, we have a winning supply chain, which is a localized supply chain, which is not spread, which is spread across, diversified across sellers, and not one manufacturer. So that's very, very important. Second is the sustainability aspect. We said, look, these are very difficult times, and people are going to have questions about, you know, what are they really purchasing, and looking at, you know, how the world is changing. Maybe they will question their purchase behavior about fast fashion. Maybe they will question their purchase behavior of buying and buying and buying, you know, which is inherently unsustainable. So that was the second part of it. The third was, of course, look, that physically retail will have a lot of restrictions, and maybe online will have less restrictions. So we will be able to service our customers, right? So taking all of these three, we were heading into this pandemic. We felt optimistic that, and we felt motivated to come out stronger than we went in.
So you started the company in 2012. I want to finish this interview with some, you know, like positive and hopeful conclusions for people that are graduating right now with big hopes and dreams of building their own startup company. Knowing what the world is passing through right now, what kind of advice would you give them? What motivated you back then to be resilient, to, you know, to venture into an idea that wasn't so, you know, so easy to obviously to execute? I
think the journey to when you work in a startup is a very different journey. It teaches you a lot, and resilience is one of the things that it teaches you. Innovation is another thing that teaches you. Responsibility is another thing that it teaches you. And really to execute and deliver way above your skill level, experience level, way above your means, and way above what you thought was possible. So that really what this journey is about, is that you can deliver and you can be more than you thought possible. So if you truly are passionate, you need to find that courage inside, and you need to take a plunge. Once you need to take a plunge, then you need to stick to it. Then you have to deal with it.